So, hello everyone. My topic is on neural scene representation and its rendering. So, this is basically a survey on the state of the art on this topic. Just hit the pointer. Yeah. So, so the basic application for this is the novel view synthesis. So, in short, I'll just explain what novel view synthesis is. It's like so we have already discussed this in class. So, this is like we have some given source views for given pose, and then for some multiple views with their pose, if we are this is given as the input, and if we are given a new target pose, we need to give the output image corresponding to that pose. So we are synthesizing the output image for a novel view. I'll just give an example of the nerf output. So as you can see, this seems like a video, a very smooth video, but these are like input images which are acquired at various angles and at a relatively sparse sample. It's a relatively sparse sampling compared to how smooth the video is uh, can be seen. So we'll see how this is done. So there are various techniques for view synthesis. This is the first is the classical image-based rendering. So it has it has progressed after that a lot because of deep learning. So in short, I'll explain how it works. So it's like if you are given like if there is a 3D scene and you have suppose it is captured from 4 different cameras suppose, and you need a novel view uh, image from a novel pose. So you'll look for the nearest 4 camera outputs, and then those will be warped corresponding to our current pose, and then they'll be blended together. And the blended image will be obtained using some weights corresponding to how close each camera is to the current view, and then the blended images are novel view output. Then there is another method of representing this, which is the multiplane images. So this paper, which was in CPR 2020, uh, enabled novel view synthesis from a single image. So you can see this is a single image. So it's divided into many planes. So like the nearest objects to the viewer are in this plane. As you go farther, they'll be arranged in these planes. So it's like discretizing the continuous volume. And then once you uh, get this, you can render from a novel view and get this. So this is the classic paper from 2019 on neural volumes. This uses the voxel-based synthesis. So you capture the image from various angles using an encoder-decoder network. You will get the uh, values for. So finally, you need to do the volume rendering, right? So for each sample, we'll need the RGB value and the opacity value, so that we get from this encoder decoder its output, and then finally this volume rendering for this novel view will give us the image for our network. So this is like the final output, and this is the final reconstructed output, which is very close to what the target image looks like. And this is the NERF paper. So this is one of these example of neural scene representation and its rendering. So we have input images from various pose, and yeah. So we so these are the examples of the images that are captured. These are, you can consider these as the cameras, and we have captured images in these poses. And then if we need for a novel pose from say from here, we'll get the novel views. So I'll explain how this is done technically in a few minutes. So there are various methods for representing a scene in 3D. Basically 5 of them, at least as for now. We don't know when it can increase, because the 5th one has been just added like in the past 2-3 years. So one of the classic old methods is voxels, which is like the 3D version of pixels. So this is like discretizing the 3D space into uniform voxels. Then there is point cloud. So you can imagine this is like the point cloud representation of a drawing room, and everything that it can sample, the cameras have sampled, are shown as points here. So you can see like this frame is getting all the points here, So, and if you want to render from a new view, say from C1, you will do whatever volume rendering approach they have taken, and then from that the novel view synthesis done. So this is like an example of the output image. And then the other one we already discussed, which is the multiplane image. So you can consider this image as like if it consists of 4 shapes, and suppose the square is the nearest one, so it can go into the first plane, then the triangle is farther away from the user, it goes behind the circle, and so on. And if we need a novel viewpoint image, then we construct it from this the novel view. And then there is another classic mesh based 3D scene representation, which is like very widely used everywhere. Then we have this neural scene representation, and I'm giving an example through the nerve again. So this is like, this representation is just an MLP network, a multi-layer perceptron. So which takes as input the XYZ coordinates and that theta and phi, which are the viewing direction. And then once we get this phi d position plus direction, we get the output of the MLP, which is the color and the sigma. Sigma is like the opacity for this point. So yeah, again, we'll go into the technical details later how this is processed. So to give you background on the on how we reached this stage, so it started like in CPR 2019, 2 papers were published on neural implicit surfaces. So this is the occupancy networks paper. So if you consider this bench for an example, if you sample anywhere outside this bench, you are likely to get a 0 value. And if you go inside, as you traverse inside, suppose, inside you will get the value of the network as 1. So the input is any point in 3D space, like XYZ coordinate, and the output will be corresponding, like it's a binary network. Like if it's inside the bench, it will be 1, outside will be 0. And then the continuous representation for that is the SDF, deep SDF. So this is like a very classical old technique in computer graphics, the sign distance function, and it has caught up again because of deep learning. So this is like if you are farther away from the, so this is the Stanford bunny image volume. If you are very far, the output is like suppose 1, and as you go inside the bunny, it will start to get negative. So it's like if it's negative, you are inside the volume and positive is outside. So this is like it varies continuously. So it's useful to, the continuous representation is useful for getting say normals on the surface and all. So these are the two neural implicit surface, like two of the many that have come up recently. And then the main final thing that came up was the differentiable volumetric rendering. So this the main two contributions for this were like it combined the implicit neural representation and the differentiable rendering. So the rendering part is differentiable with respect to the parameters of the network, and this already used the implicit representation. So this this triggered a new like a sort of field where you can train you can get a 3D scene representation by training from images. So yeah, a 3D implicit scene is obtained from just 2D views, and then this leads us to NERF. So as I explained, this is just a simple MLP with a special location and viewing direction, and the output is the color and density. So yeah, so I had explained this part. I'll just explain how the rendering is done. So if suppose, so this is for now, this is the input view, but let's consider I need the output at this pose. So for each pixel, I'll like throw a ray and then sample at various points. And for each point, so for each point I have an XYZ, theta and phi value. And if I put in here, I'll get the corresponding RGB value. So I have an RGB value for here, and as I go further, I have RGB and sigma values, opacity values for all of these. And then I'll do whatever volume rendering technique. It's like maybe it could be simple alpha compositing, or little complex version of that, but like the basic essence is just a simple alpha compositing, and then doing that for a single ray, suppose we get a pixel value. So for each pixel, we have the ground truth value of the pixel as well. So for the whole image, we'll calculate the loss as the direct difference between the output image and the ground truth using whatever loss function we want. So maybe mean square. And then, so one novel contribution from NERF was the positional encoding. So this is the ground truth, this is their output, and without positional, this is part of their ablation study. So without positional encoding, you get the blurry image. So this is their follow-up work, which was published in NeurIPS 2020. And this is like, they're trying to obtain just the input image directly. But you can see that if you do it with the same dimensions as the input, then you are likely to fail, because the basic neural networks are biased towards low frequency details, so you are likely to miss the higher frequency details. So they transfer the input to a higher dimension using Fourier features, and then you can get the higher frequency details as well. So another novel contribution is this, so not novel as in, but they use this to speed up their process and to get better samples. So the blue samples are the coarse pass, where it's sort of stratified sampling in so they'll divide this space into some bins, and each bin will be uniformly random sampled, and then you will get these blue values, and then the red dots are often on the fine pass. So you know that from the blue samples, you know that you need to sample more here, so you will do the fine passing by just sampling from this distribution instead of the uniform. So there are, of course, there are a lot of limitations on NERF. The main is the huge training time that it requires, which is more than 1 day for each scene as of now. And even the rendering time, it's not like live. 30 seconds is required for one frame. And then it requires a large number of input images, around 50 to 100 for each scene. And the worst part is, like all of them are pretty bad actually, but yeah. So you have to train each scene from scratch. So like, okay, despite these limitations, it's like a breakthrough project, and it should not be. Yeah, so it's very important, and there are many papers have come on top of this using NERF, which are trying to address the limitations. So this was published in ECCV 2020 last year, and a lot of papers have come on top of it. So these two papers, neural sparse voxel fields and AutoInt, both are for improving its performance. So neural sparse voxel fields is like dividing this into octrees, and only instead of importance sampling, we'll do only sampling in the voxel in the space of the octrees where there is some volume. And AutoInt also is a way to speed up the training and testing process. And there is NERF++, NERF minus minus. NERF++ is like separating the foreground background. Minus minus is like we are even getting the intrinsics and extrinsics from the network. You don't need to provide those as input, and we pretty much get the same quality of results as the original NERF. So this is like a more generalized way. Then we have a dynamic representation as well. So you can see this is the input video, and you can vary this like in fixed time you can get a lot of views, or in fixed view you can get these time representation. So let me tell you, these are not actually captured, these have been generated, and like it's so good that you cannot even make out the difference. And even combined space-time interpolation also can be done. So this is the relighting part. So this is NERF in the wild, which was a follow-up work on NERF, and also NERV, which is again follow-up work by the same authors. So NERF in the wild is like you can get images from the internet for a specific monument, suppose a famous scene, and then those inputs could be in any lighting conditions, could have a lot of variance in between them, lighting variance, and it will still be able to generate the 3D scene and related versions. So in conclusion, we are representing this by implicit representation, which have started to pick up. Even simple graphics rendering techniques can be used, which photorealistically get the novel views. And this, because the volume rendering is differentiable, it's easily trainable, and the storage space required is very less compared to the voxel-based representations. And like we need a lot of improvement, of course, in training and inference time. Yeah, and future work is like from the limitations itself that we need lesser time, training time, rendering time should be fast. So papers have come up which do almost real-time rendering, and then so we are heading towards that, and then better volume of representation, better representation of volumes could be done. Like could separate out the suppose say BRDF and surface normals to get a better representation. We could use less training data. As of now, we require a lot of it. And then training per scene can be avoided, and like a global training model can be developed. Yes, so that's about it. Sorry for extending long. But yeah, everyone should have a look at the NERS website. It's awesome. And yeah, it's I think it is just the start, and a lot of people are about to come up in this field. Thank you.